Hello, hello. Welcome. We're going to wait a few minutes for some people to jump on. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about how to get the most out of your Amazon pay-per-click. So that way, if you jump onto this broadcast on a replay, you'll get some value out of it, and you won't just see me sitting here twiddling my thumbs waiting for people. So PPC is one of the questions that, or one of the issues, one of the things that people selling on Amazon seem to have one of the most difficult ways to, or one of the most difficult things to grasp. So I'm going to give you just some basics here, and hey Luke, what's going on? Thanks for jumping on. Feel free to ask me any questions as we move forward here. I'm just going to go through some quick pay-per-click tips, and in the meantime, you can feel free to drop questions in the comments. Hey Marco, welcome, buddy. You get to see my pretty face today. Thank you for dropping in. So Marco is a fellow quote unquote Amazon expert and a great friend of mine, and it's always nice to see him. But anyway, I'm gonna jump in here real quick and just give my kind of my formula and the formula that my team uses to optimize pay-per-click. So one of the first things is to figure out your break-even ACoS, and ACoS, advertising cost of sales. I know you've heard that acronym thrown around a lot. A lot of people might not know that's what it means, but that's what ACoS means. And so you want to go ahead and figure out what your break-even ACoS is. So for example, if you're selling a $10 product, and after the cost of the products, the Amazon fees, shipping, pretty much every cost that's involved in getting your product sold on Amazon is going to be what your break-even cost is. So that's the first thing you want to do. You want to figure that ACoS out, because that's going to be your starting point. If you don't have that, you're kind of shooting in the dark. So go ahead and figure that out for each one of your products that you're advertising for. And then the next step you want to do is you want to use that ACoS to come up with a strategy. And so there's kind of two strategies that people use when doing pay-per-click. And it also has to do a lot with the life cycle of the product. So if it's a new product, you might have one strategy, and if it's an older product, you might switch over to a different strategy. So the first strategy is kind of the rank boost strategy, or the blitz strategy, or the launch strategy. Kind of those are kind of all lumped into the same category as far as I'm concerned. So it's generally when you're launching a new product and you want to get as many sales and as many eyeballs on it as possible right from the beginning. Usually for about the first week, and this just gives Amazon an indication that people are interested in your product, and you usually get a pretty big boost in organic rank and sales pretty quickly. But when you're in that setup, you'll probably have an ACoS that's higher than your break-even ACoS, so you might even be losing money in theory on that way of bidding. So, for example, your break-even ACoS might be 30, and you might be having an ACoS of 50, or even up to 100, or whatever it is that you decide that you need to push your product. So once it gets to that week, then you can reevaluate it. You can keep pushing along if you feel that the organic results that you're getting are worth the extra ACoS, then it's worth it. If not, then you kind of revert to what I call is an ROI strategy. So it's a strategy where you want to either match or generally exceed your break-even ACoS. So if you have an ACoS of 30% and you start using that strategy, that means that you want to come in at an ACoS lower than 30%. So say 25%, so that absolutely that every dollar that you're spending on advertising for that product is going to return you 5% of profit. So that's kind of the ROI strategy. Now, The basics after kind of figuring those couple things out. The next thing you want to do is once you pick a strategy, then every week, I usually do it on Monday afternoon, and then I can look at the previous week's data. So usually it takes Amazon about 24 hours at a minimum, but up to 48 hours or more to get the returns on ACoS for sales. So sales and ACoS, you don't get that data until that point. So Monday afternoon, Monday evening, I'm in Pacific time, so depending on where you are, I reference Amazon time. So it would be Amazon time in the afternoon or evening. You go back and you look at the previous week. And then when you look at the previous week, you want to look at keywords with the ACoS that are over your target ACoS. Now, like I said, your target ACoS will be different for the two different strategies. For like a rank boost or launch strategy, you might have a target ACoS of 100. And so you want to go ahead and look at your strategy and your target ACoS. So if in other words, if you're on a rank strategy and your ACoS is 100, you're over your break-even ACoS, but your strategy is to get as many sales as possible. So you might look at that and say, okay, I'm going to let it ride. Now, if you were on an ROI strategy and you have an ACoS of 100 and you're looking for an ACoS around 30, then what you'd want to do is reduce the bid. And what you would do when you reduce the bid is to try to reduce that bid to get to that target ACoS. Now, there's different theories on that. You could drop the bid, by 60% or more right away, or what you can do is you can just reduce it slowly. The next week you could come back and check again. That's kind of the strategy on that on that way of doing things. Now, the same can be true if you're on the lower side of the ACoS. So if you're shooting for an ACoS of, say, 30 and you're getting an ACoS of 1 to 5, then that might be something that you want to look at to possibly raising your bid. You might want to look at your first page on the keyword and see if you're in spot 1, then you probably don't want to raise your bid because you'll just be raising the bid to raise the bid. But if you're, say in slot 3 on the advertising position on the page, then you might want to look at raising your bid to see what your return on investment is going to be. So maybe your ACoS might go up to 10, but you might sell so many more with that raised bid that it's worth it. So that's where you have to start doing spreadsheets and math and all that fun stuff that we learned in school that they said we'd use later on in life, which is still debatable. But thank God for Excel, right? And those formulas. But anyway, so that's kind of the strategy that we use, and that's just a weekly thing. So of course, I could get much more into detail, but that's kind of what I'm going to start with here. And then we just kind of, wash and recycle that every week, especially if you're adding or adding keywords. The other thing to remember too, kind of that I didn't mention that I actually have on my list here, is the other thing you want to do every week is find keywords that you're spending money on but are not converting into sales. And usually you want to kind of set a baseline. So you want to say, okay, if I've spent $10 and I've gotten 10 clicks and I've gotten 0 sales on this keyword, then you might want to either think about getting rid of that keyword or reducing the keyword bid greatly to get rid of those keywords that are just costing you money and not converting. If it's a very relevant keyword and it's not converting, then you might want to go back and look at your listing and make sure it's optimized and the photos are great and all those great things. So anyway, I'm going to wrap that part up. Moving forward, if I don't get to these things too often, but when I do, I'm gonna try to do this kind of format where I'll start out the first 10 minutes with just kind of some tips and some how-tos, and then I'll go into questions after that because it usually takes about that long to get some people to jump in anyway. So I'm going to go to questions right now. There's not a ton, but if you're watching, please feel free to drop a question in here. And Luke already has, and let's go ahead and throw that up. What is the best way to run Amazon promo to give away or discount new products in hopes of sales reviews? Well, there's a lot of different theories on that. Giving away products, that's you can do that, but you can run into a problem where you'll get a bunch of people who will just snag your stuff and resell it. So I recommend a number that's high but not too high. So I feel like in our testing, the 90 to 95% range is a nice range for a discount promotion. The best way to run it, well, there's lots of different ways to run it. If you have an email list that you've built, you can send it directly to your previous contacts. You can use Facebook groups. There are Facebook groups to do giveaways. You can use a service like ours, self-plug, but hey, that's what we do. Or you could even do a Facebook. You can do Facebook ads with promos, things like that. But when you do that, you want to make sure we tell our clients to have a three-pronged approach. You want to, when you're doing a promotion, you want to have some strong cost per click, CPC advertising, Amazon advertising going. You want to have your listing optimized before anything, before you even start advertising. Optimizing your listing should be the first thing that you ever even think about. So once you're optimized on your listing, then you start your pay-per-click campaign, then you should start your promotion, and you should kind of hit it from all fronts. And generally, you want to let that run for a good week before turning it off, or making any changes to that, so you really get the full effect on that. So hopefully that answered your question, Luke. Looks like somebody else dropped in a new question, so that's good. Let's Devansh. Hopefully I'm not brutalizing your name there, and I apologize if you hear any of my children in the background. I'm working from the home office today. How big of a giveaway should we do for a launch? Should we do any, because the sales usually die after the giveaway? I kind of just went over that before with Luke's question. To me, if you're not doing some kind of promotion when you first launch a product, you're gonna have issues down the road in getting traction. So when you first launch a product, first thing you want to do is optimize the listing. Then you want to get the pay-per-click turned on, and then you want to do the promotion, and you want to hit it from all fronts. Now, when you turn the promotion, there's a few things. You want to make sure you run the promotion long enough, and when you're running that promotion, you want to make sure that you're steadily gaining in rank. And if you're not, then something's wrong. Your listing needs to be optimized. You need to check your SEO keywords. All of those kinds of things are something that you need to take a look at. Anybody else have any more questions? I haven't seen any more pop up. So give it a few more minutes. And if not, I will probably wrap this up. How long is long enough? Well, that depends. So how long is long enough? That's something you want to look at. So say, for example, you're targeting a specific keyword or a specific competitor. What you want to do is go and look and see what their rank is. So if there's a competitor that you're trying to target, then you'd want to go look at their rank, and you'd want to keep your promotion going until you get to that rank. Now, a lot of people, especially when they're starting out, are very afraid to lose money on the front end. And I know it's scary. I remember when I first started out, I mean, you want to talk about debt and credit card bills and things like that. It's always pretty scary, but that's if you want a successful Amazon business, if you're not losing money when you first launch a product. I actually posted this in my feed earlier today. If you're doing that and you're not losing money when you first launch a product, then you either got like a magical product that you sourced. You were the person who thought of a fidget spinner a year ago, and you're killing it. Then that's one thing. But majority of products, you have to lose money initially to get that traction and to kind of test your market and to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And you definitely want to go ahead and target your competitor or your keyword rank that you're going for, and that's how long that promotion should run. All right, Todd says, have you used Amazon Insights? I actually just checked it out. I haven't used it yet. I'm trying to think of the best use case for it. It's actually an interesting product because they kind of give you some templates on the information you get, and then they kind of let you suggest or kind of do a free form. So I've got a couple of ideas on how I want to use insights, but I'm not quite locked down exactly on how I want to do that. And I don't necessarily want to share that yet because I want to do some testing first. And, also we have competitors and, I want to share as much as possible. I always try to share as much as possible, but there's also some stuff that, you need to keep a little close to your chest just to make sure that, that you're not giving your competitors a leg up on your ideas and the things that you come up with your hard work. So, it says, okay, here it says, hi Andy, what do you think is the best program to find keywords related to the main one with their research volumes? Honestly, I think most of the mainstream ones out there are pretty similar. Nobody's using any, sorry about that. My daughter is trying to say hi. There are a lot of different keyword tools out there. Some of my favorites, and kind of what I do is I just collect as many as I can and then kind of sift through it. So the best, one of my favorites is Sonar Tools, fantastic. Keyword Tool IO is good for long tail. There's quite a few, and you just kind of have to test it. And I think it depends on your niche, depending on which keyword tool is going to work the best for you, because they all work a little bit differently. So you just, once again, owning an Amazon business, running an Amazon business is all about testing. I mean, every day you should be testing theories and coming up with new theories and testing them every day. So yeah, the best niche research. I think that's kind of what I just covered. Niche research, you have to kind of figure out, do a test on a product on maybe using one keyword tool and see how it performs, and then try a different one or a combination of many. Is kind of how we do it. Let's see. I'm glad we're getting questions rolling. Appreciate it. How much should the PPC spend be in the product launch phase? It's a good question. That's a great question, actually. Generally, it's got to be quite a bit higher than what your competitors are bidding. So, Amazon usually kind of gives you a range. So when you're doing a launch, I suggest that you do at the minimum the suggested bid, but generally, maybe a little bit higher than the range that Amazon's showing just when you launch, because that's going to ensure that you're going to get impressions for those keywords, and then you'll be able to tweak and see what works and what doesn't work with that data. And I think let me double check, make sure I've gotten all the questions so far. Great questions, guys. And this is why I love this format, is because it's when I write down my little on my little sheet here what I'm going to talk about when I do one of these, it's it's much more fun when there's some interaction and we can go back and forth. In terms of ACOS, nearly 100%. Are you talking about for a launch ACOS? Hopefully you can comment and let me know if you're talking about the launch ACOS or in general, or what. Be a little more specific on that question so I can help you. Yes. Okay. So for the launch, I was just using the 100% as an example. I mean, of course, no matter when you're working with your ACOS, I mean, you want to get the most clicks for the least amount of money. So in that sense, you want to be able to, you want to be able to. I mean, so it's going to depend on your competition. I mean, if it's a super ultra competitive category or a super ultra competitive product, then you probably will have really high ACOSs when you launch. When you try to do a launch, like 100%. If it's something that's very niche and not a lot of people are doing it, you could get away with, probably break even or better on a launch and still, be bidding fairly high. So there's a lot of factors that go into that. So it's just going to depend on how competitive your product is going to depend on that ACOS. There isn't really a target. I was just using that 100% as an example. There's no target ACOS for doing a launch. You just want to make sure that you're getting enough impressions and sales to compete with your competitors out the door, and hopefully Amazon will start ranking you for those things. So Marco. All right, Marco. Let's see. Any serious and legit tool to grab best search terms from best-selling ASINs? Yeah, Keyword Inspector was the only one who sort of did that kind of stuff, but I think with all that recent controversy, people are not trusting that tool, understandably. Yeah, I don't know. At this point, no. I don't really know of anything that does something like that. But yeah, hopefully in the near future somebody figures that out. Anybody else? All right. Devansh, I hope I'm saying your name right. I'm sorry if I'm not. Devansh has another question. He's had some great ones. Any good cheap keyword ranking tracking tools? Not really. I mean, everybody kind of knows all the stuff that's out there right now. So nothing I know of that's free at the moment. I mean, like I said, I'm going to try to do these hopefully once a week. It gets hard for me sometimes, especially since I have small kids. But I'll be trying to do these things more often, and I'll follow up with these questions hopefully in the future. If you jump back on in a future session, ask me again, because I'm always finding new tools, using new tools, and things like that. So. Yeah, if I find any out, I'll share it with everyone. All right. All right. I'm gonna do. This is always no problem. My pleasure. Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why I started the AMZ Blitz was I absolutely love digging into this stuff and helping people. I love tinkering, and that's the way I learn all this stuff. And of course, Marco, thank you. I appreciate you taking your valuable time to watch silly old me. But yeah, this is some of my favorite stuff. I love interacting with Amazon sellers and kind of giving them a leg up and helping them as much as I can. So yeah, I appreciate everyone jumping in and asking questions. And like I said, just keep an eye out. If you don't mind liking this video and sharing it, that'd be awesome. I know everyone asks that, and sometimes you don't want to garbage up your feed, but I would appreciate that. That way we'll get more people in here, and the more people asking questions, the more it benefits everyone, because everyone can learn from them. So really, really appreciate everyone stopping by, and we'll hopefully do one of these again soon. If there's, I'll just keep talking for another 15 or 20 seconds, just in case anybody has any last minute questions. I think the one crummy thing about these Facebook Live things, I mean, good and bad. The good thing is people can jump in and interact live. The bad thing is, depending on the time of the day and where you are in the world, it's sometimes hard to catch these. So maybe I'll try to vary the day and time when we do these. Maybe do some late at night for the European viewers and things like that. But yep. All right. Looks like we covered all the questions today. Hopefully, you guys take a few things from this, and what I have to tell myself every day, which hopefully I can give you inspiration, is everybody's busy. I definitely am one of those people, extremely busy, and just make time for what's important. Whether that's time with your family or doing the next thing on your to-do list for your Amazon business. Just get it done. Just pick one thing a day and do it, and do it well. And that list will slowly dwindle down. I mean, there'll always be stuff that gets added to it, but just keep at it, push on, and believe in yourself. And that's all you need to do. The rest will come. Cheers, everyone. Thanks for stopping in. Take care.